town of the good, the bad, and the weird. You either live by the gun, or you die by the sword.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast. I'm Nicho.
And I'm Chris.
And tonight we are our last episode of 2023. I think it is. We might have maybe one more. But our last holiday-themed episode is 1984's Gremlins. And I don't have an intro for this because
how can you really introduce Gremlins properly?
Yeah.
I feel like you should do it the same way that the movie did. Just jump in and hope for the best.
I mean, that's really what it does.
It does, and honestly, most of the time, I would say that method isn't the best isn't a surefire way to create not just a good movie, but a, bona fide classic. Not even a cult classic, just a classic. And somehow, despite doing a lot of things wrong or backwards, this movie manages to do everything right.
Yeah, pretty much. So, for those who don't know, Gremlins is about a town that becomes the victim of an ancient creature after inventor father basically kind of cheats and steals. Actually, well, he doesn't get his money back for it, but brings it back home and it chooses to ignore the rules that happen or that they're given.
Yes, this is a standard 80s flick on why you should listen to the instructions. And also why random exotic pets do not make good gifts.
Depends.
Surprise gifts. An exotic, rare creature that requires very specialized care. This movie is living proof on why that's maybe not a good idea.
Probably. Unintentionally try to do that, too.
Oh, and it's done in the best way possible.
Oh, yeah.
With horror.
And I'll get into my history with Gremlins here in a while.
Yes.
But Gremlins was written by Chris Columbus, directed by Joe Dante.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Zach Galligan, Phoebe Cates, Hoyt Axton, and Howie Mandel as Gizmo, which always kind of blows. I always forget that.
Oh, so do I, because it also helps that, the DVD copy that we have is very good with lots of commentary, and one of the commentaries does involve Howie. However, they commit to the bit and attempt to do the commentary in the voice. And it's really just kind of throws you for a loop.
Oh, yeah. One thing I do want to bring up, I was surprised that Columbus's writing and production credits are
minimized.
No, they're actually quite in the holiday realm. He wrote The Christmas Chronicles Part 2.
Yes, he did.
The screenplay for Christmas with the Cranks.
I did not remember that.
He directed Home Alone 1 and 2.
That is correct, and it does feel... you can feel it in your bones, can't you?
Oh, yeah, which, coincidentally, SP Film Viewers just did an episode on Home Alone 1 and 2, so go check that out.
Yes.
As well as the first two Harry Potters, which I do consider them Christmas movies just because around the time we watched them.
No, I fully believe that Harry Potter is also a Christmas film.
But also, he was the producer on Jingle All the Way and executive producer on The Witch in the Lighthouse.
I like how two of those are a lot less Christmassy than the rest of that list.
Oh, yeah. I just chose them because they felt like way out of left field compared to what we were talking about.
And honestly, way out of left field is, spot on. This is actually a very good pairing. And it does show off his writing style really well. He was very involved in this movie, which is really nice to see a writer not just, hand over a script or be run over by a director or a producer. Mm-hmm. He was very involved and had a lot to say, and I think it shows.
Oh, yeah. And so for our sources for this episode include An Oral History of Gremlins by David Costel, published on cutprintfilm.com, as well as commentary by director Joe Dante, Zach Galligan, and Howie Mandel, as well as producer Mitchell Finnell, and special effects artist Chris Wallace.
Yes, as well as a making-of featurette available on the DVD.
Yeah. And honestly, for as beloved as this movie is, I'm surprised at how little the backstory is to this movie.
It's very straightforward backstory, which is something we don't hear very often, especially for what a strange combination had to come together for this. Normally it's I started writing it way back in the day, we've lost funding, you usually hear about some hurdles, some hiccups. Not really in this one.
Yeah, and the hiccups...
Their only real problem was like, oh, we chose to have puppets.
Well, there was a little bit of hiccups. So Columbus never intended for Gremlins to actually be made into a movie.
Well,
The story started out as a college spec script to show off his writing skills, but no one wanted to work on it.
that's understandable.
And that's partly because he made it like storybook-like, so it didn't like work as well for some people, but Steven Spielberg came across it and he wanted to bring it life, but he wanted to make it cheap like an old Warner Brothers horror flick.
Yeah, I think that was the best direction this movie could have possibly taken, because not only did he say, I want it to have more horror elements than y'all thought it should, but also I want it to feel the same way. So his like goal was like, I'm going to have young actors who you don't really know. I'm going to pull from the horror industry itself. We're going to go all the way in, to the point where eventually they had to cut back a little bit on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the original concept was much more gruesome. Like, the main character comes home and his mom's head gets chucked down the stairs.
Yeah. The mom doesn't even make it like halfway through the movie in the original edit.
Yeah, it's much more gruesome the way there's all types of parts where they're like, oh yeah, this person was supposed to be decapitated.
Literally,
guts
like, no
pulled.
one was supposed to live.
Yeah. But they brought on Dante as they liked his work on The Howling, a similar campy horror flick, and so they thought it was perfect for it. But the only like real development hell this movie went through is it was constantly being greenlit, then put on the back burner. They had to ask for more money to make the Gremlins, but like the moment they made the Gremlins, it's like,
well, now we have to commit.
Yeah, and we'll get on to why it was finally greenlit as well.
Yes.
But it also marked the first film from Spielberg's production company, Albin Production.
Yes. So this is very exciting, because this is also kind of used as a cornerstone piece for the Spielberg's collection.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's intentional, I don't know. I think part of it is just this has a lot of the core 80s movie elements and because this movie has so many elements of a few different styles of movies in it, it's very easy to just kind of lump it all together with a bunch of the other ones that a lot of people now look to as like, oh, cornerstone movie.
Yeah. So, Chris, before we dive into Gremlins, what are we drinking today?
Well, we were both tired and didn't pick a specific drink, so we felt like it was appropriate to raid the fridge like a gremlin. I have a little bit flat, elderly Sam's Club Diet Coke and a Budweiser.
And I've just got a very strong whiskey Coke because it's been one of those weeks already.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yes, that was exactly what I wanted. Delightful.
Yeah.
How's your strong whiskey?
It's very good.
Good, I'm glad.
It's also to commemorate the end of me watching Christmas bullshit yesterday. So.
Yes, speaking of Christmas bullshit, this movie takes place over Christmas, and yet was not released for Christmas. They didn't plan this to be a Christmas movie.
Does it even take place? I thought
it does. This movie takes place on Christmas.
I thought it was like Christmas Eve or like a couple days before.
No, so the way that the timeline of this movie happens is the original Gizmo is bought as a last-minute Christmas present because the father realizes he has forgotten and it is now Christmas Eve. And so when that clock strikes midnight and we have created all hell on earth with the small demons, that is Christmas. Santa has come.
This movie happens over a couple days, so like he goes to work on Christmas?
He's like on a business trip.
No, the son goes to work on Christmas.
Yeah, I believe so.
Huh.
Okay, that's the thing that's a little confusing. This is 100% written over Christmas, like Christmas Eve itself, I'm pretty sure. And yet, there was almost no effort to marketing this as a Christmas film originally. There was no advertisement. The toys were not Christmas. It didn't even come out around Christmas. It was a summer blockbuster hit.
It doesn't specifically say Christmas. Like, when this takes place. It takes place wintertime-ish.
There are Christmas trees, and it is a Christmas present. This is Christmas.
December 11th, is this Christmas?
I mean, for my family, yeah. We're gonna celebrate Wednesday.
Oh, alrighty then.
So, like, Christmas is the whole month of December. As a Hallmark watcher, you should know that.
I don't watch Hallmark ones, I watch other garbage.
Oh, well, good for you. But no, this movie, for reasons that were never really explained, this movie was written to be written over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And the only real logic to that anyone seems to recognize is that this was a Christmas gift. However, like, again, no marketing was done for this to be Christmas. It didn't come out on Christmas. None of the toys were Christmas. Even the year it came out, they had Christmas themed gifts, but all they did was stick a Santa hat on Gizmo and call it a day.
Yeah, it was marketed mainly through Gizmo.
Yes.
Like E.T.
Oh boy, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So, Gremlins actually opens in Chinatown.
Yes, it does.
As Rand Peltzer as the narrator, which I don't know why they try and make this area feel like really seedy. Like, they really try hard to make it feel like it's almost a back alley red light district.
They do, and I only know kind of the why, because this is an 80s movie phenomenon to have Chinatown and or their depiction of China, the weird, seedy, and yes, everything is weirdly lit with red Christmas lights, like your fucking living room. Where it's a little off-putting, but it's also a little mysterious, a little opium den-esque. And for some reason, this was the vibe that just the entire 80s movies go with. We see something similar in some of the Indiana Jones movies.
And Big Trouble in Little China.
Exactly. So this was just kind of the weird stereotype that no one really bothered to put a different spin on. This was just oh well, people will recognize this as the one Chinese restaurant open on Christmas. We'll just go with it. And you're this is a little strange, but I didn't think it was strange as a kid in the 90s.
And I didn't watch this till I was in college, and I'll explain that later.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just weird for me from watching a lot of kung fu movies and not getting that reference stateside.
I do think that if you start your movie genre journey with foreign films, coming to this feels weird, but if you start from the American 70s 80s and go the other way, it's kind of almost a weird oh, why isn't my kung fu film weirdly sepia toned?
Okay, I can get that. But I also wonder why he's here to find the present. Is he just trying to find something quote-unquote exotic or unique?
I think so. It's never directly said in the movie, and from all of the commentary I could find, and even the little bits of writing that were done about this, no one really seems to contemplate why we're getting Gizmo as the Christmas gift. It's just kind of accepted that this is what one does.
Well, he's not even searching for Gizmo specifically. He's just trying to find something interesting.
Yes, and his idea of interesting is a live creature.
Yes.
Granted, the sales pitch was very good.
I mean, the sales pitch was, hey, come to my grandfather's shop.
You know what? Sold. I'll take 10.
Which also, it's this other funny thing of these mystic shops, because they go in there and it's mostly lit by candles for some reason.
The fire hazard in this place is unreal. It's wonderful. Yeah, no, it's very much the 80s, and I think in the 70s and 60s there was a mysticism to Black and African Americans in movies, and then in the 80s and 90s there was a mysticism to Asians in a lot of our. And I know we see a recurring of it regularly.
Well, that happened way earlier than that. I mean, you start bringing over the Bruce Lee and even the earlier kung fu movies. It's got a bunch of that. Now that I think about it, I can kind of see it a little bit, because you watch the Shaolin movies and it's always in a temple lit by candles and shit.
And nothing is explained. There was no Google to explain what is happening or what the cultural significance of using this symbol. There was none of that. You just watched it and hoped for the best.
Yeah.
And so I do think a lot of this specific part is based off of that sort of nonsense. But it does add a level of don't ask too many questions, because there is no man behind the curtain.
And that's the awful thing about this one, is I am going to ask all those questions much how the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, unlike the Grinch Stole Christmas, where someone unfortunately did think of an answer, not here.
Well, in a way, this movie also is kind of anti-consumerism.
It is, in a fun way, whereas, with the Grinch, they don't acknowledge it. They do. They're yes, this is a problem, but also, Happy Christmas.
Christmas is about family, and then we forget about that, 5 seconds later.
And this one is if you're not responsible, the random man who sold you your Christmas gift's gonna come and repossess it. I love that. That's a great lesson.
Well, and on top of that, this movie he's also trying, he doesn't feel like he's really searching because he
No.
immediately tries selling them his own product, which
Yeah.
adds like a little bit of humor to this movie that like,
This, like, the dad's terrible productness is almost like a slapstick comedy that you didn't know this movie needed.
yeah.
Because there's no other, like, this is the only slapsticky comedy. The rest is, like, very Muppet humor, or even, like, dirty, a little bit too adult humor with the gremlin parts when we get to, like...
See, I'd consider that slapstick from my perspective.
I'm considering this slapstick because it's harmless. No one actually gets hurt. And the entire gag is that some physical harm happened, as opposed to, like, having more going on with, like, oh, a bra joke, or
Someone getting shot.
or like an action-based humor, which could be a little raunchier. This one, there is no punchline. It just, sometimes mayonnaise squirts onto this man's face.
Yeah.
That's the punchline.
Green mayo.
Yeah.
But also, like, just the little build-up for Mogwai, because he's not Gizmo yet. Just, like, the little noises in the back's kind of nice, but I do also wonder, like, why he has it in the shop in the first place. Is it, like, the shop pet or something?
It kind of reminds me of, like, that one pet shop pet that's, like, been returned several times, and he's just like, maybe this man will finally take him.
It's like, what is the cat disbursement, whatever it's called?
The cat universe theory?
Yeah.
The cat placement theory,
Yes.
where, like, if you walk outside and there's a cat, that's your cat.
Yeah, or, like, the cat approaches you, it's your cat
that's
now.
your cat. If the Mogwai approaches you, it's your Mogwai.
The Mogwai calls out to you.
Yeah. I don't know. The other question that I have is, like, a handful of other items are very briefly, like, shown off as, like, this potential gifts, and they're all very, like, standard and honestly a little bit lame. But because we now know that this man is in the possession of rare and exotic magical creatures, it kind of makes me wonder if the other things he was trying to, like, sell him are also weird magical things.
It makes me think of, I think it's like a TikTok video or some YouTube short. The guy who sells like is pretending to be like a TV salesman, but like selling cursed objects.
Yes, it feels like it feels like this man has walked into a cursed object sales store. And like, it's kind of on him that he should have known everything in here is like terrible.
Mogwai's cursed.
Yeah, like he is though. This is really awkward. And like, it is something that the fans immediately picked up on. And the writers and the directors were like, yes, we're so glad that someone else noticed that it's after midnight everywhere, somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, the selling price, he's trying to buy Mogwai for $200.
Yeah.
For something that special.
Yeah.
But I also like the grandson's kind of sneaky, where he's like, well, we're not making money, so I might as well sell this to you. Otherwise, you're not going to buy anything. It's our money.
I mean...
Might we add... I wonder if Mogwai's a scam.
I think it might be, because he's not even gonna, like, return him at the end. He's just there to collect him. Yeah,
no, he's not even gonna return his money either.
No, he's just there to repossess the Mogwai.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is a scam! That's what this movie is!
Anti-consumerism, be careful what you buy.
Yeah, don't buy from shady businessmen.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that theory. That's much better than all the other questions I had.
But he's sold and given the rules, which...
The rules are so straightforward and simple, and yet mysterious.
But also so dumb.
They're like children's level instructions.
Like, so the rules, for those who don't know, no exposure to sunlight, keep out of water, and never feed after midnight.
And as the fans almost immediately informed us, never feed after midnight is physically impossible. It's always after midnight to some extent.
Well, and I also wonder, like, where does Mogwai come from? Is it just a land of eternal darkness? Like, he's like a mole person or something?
He's a demon summoned from another realm, is my, like, understanding. Because, like, how would no one have not heard of, there's no geek in this movie to come and tell us, like, oh, they're only found in the deep South America.
I appreciate that there is no
I do
lore
too.
nerd to know this stuff.
There is no more to understand. You don't know where they're from. You don't know how they would survive in the wild. Because, again, no exposure to sunlight at all.
Yeah.
But they're also clearly not, like, cave-dwelling creatures. Look at its little arms.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Can't defend itself.
It also can't live in a cave. Look at it. It looks like a Furby.
We'll get to that, too. But the filmmakers were afraid that at one point the rules would kill the story, but it's needed to actually advance it compared to the original idea.
And I really like that our rules are given to us so bluntly and straightforwardly, because this really does set the, like, working stones for the rest of the movie, which is good because we're going to be introduced to a bunch of other people, and you're gonna forget about the Mogwai for a second.
Yeah, it doesn't show. It's like
it doesn't show for
barely
like
in
half the movie.
Yeah, because we cut to town in Indiana. There's a nod to Indiana Jones with the opening credits in Town Square. That's the Town Square is Back to the Future, which something they wanted to use because they wanted it to make it feel like a cheap backlot horror flick.
And they succeeded. This movie looks great.
Yeah, and we have some weird introductions to the town tree salesman, and his kid is dressed as a tree.
See, okay, that's the fun bit about this, and that's what I think this movie, like, does better than a lot of other Christmas films. Mm-hmm. We have a shit ton of background characters who we get introduced to. We know their names, theoretically. We know what they do. We know their personalities. None of them matter. No. Not even the, like, quote-unquote main bad guy matters.
No, none of them matter. I mean,
not a single one.
It's a small town horror flick.
Yeah, and it's great.
But also, like, our introduction to the main character who's also parked in his lawn in a broken down car, basically. Yeah. And, I mean, we get a little backstory about him, that he likes drawing comics and that his neighbor's a bit of a xenophobe, hates foreign machines and whatnot. I think this movie, if I remember right, this movie is set kind of just after World War II. So it's there's still that anti-foreign sentimentality.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense for those who know a little bit of the lore of, like, the creature of this, but, like, I spent my whole life not knowing and also not caring. Because the hairstyles are so painfully 80s that I just assumed that this movie was supposed to be in the 80s, and I stopped caring. And it works. It doesn't matter what time period this really is in.
Yeah.
Theoretically, we could update all of this to have, like, more 90s look or even early 2000s look, and it would work exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's still based around the same basic themes of Christmas. Consumerism and consumerism destroying you, basically.
And a shitty horror movie will have the same amount of death and destruction.
Yeah, no, exactly. But also, one thing of note, in the background, the movie theater has A Boy's Life and Watch the Skies.
Yeah.
Both the working titles for E.T., as well as It's Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind.
Aw, so cute. And also maybe a hint that the Mogwai is an alien.
I'm sorry, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That's what it is.
But, I mean, it's a cute and charming intro. You can't deny that. It feels very Christmassy.
It's so cute. We get a little Christmas tree. We get some fake snow that's very fake looking, but it's in a charming way.
Yeah. And, I mean, even from here, we're on to introduce the love interest and setting up the pub and Mrs. Deagle, which is...
I love Mrs. Deagle.
It feels very Wizard of Oz.
It does.
And kind of subverts it a little bit, because Miss Deagle isn't going to be the bad Wicked Witch of the West.
No, she's just kind of in this film. But, like, barely.
Yeah.
They set all these people up to have very important, like, meaningful roles, and in reality, none of it matters.
Yeah, it doesn't really pay off in the end. I mean, surprise, surprise, Mrs. Deagle dies, but it doesn't, like, work.
No, it's not like an impactful death. It's just like, it's almost like they started writing two different movies and combined, and, like, had a third party combine the two.
Yes.
And it's actually really good that way. Because when we get to the, like, more gory and, like, spooky scenes of, like, them destroying the town and, like, raiding the place, it feels so much different than the beginning that you are like, oh my gosh, they've ruined this small little... Like, it feels like, oh, man...
Yeah.
My movie theater.
In a way, it's the clashing of ideals, but not really written as, like, two different movies, but, like, I'm gonna praise this movie again, Kamikaze Girls.
Yeah.
Where it's the combining of, like, the gothic Lolita, or not even the gothic Lolita, just the, like, kind of, like, Lolita fashion with the Boso Zuko biker chick.
It's so over the top in two different ways.
Yes.
But, like, having them come together feels natural.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fun.
It is.
And even from there, we're quickly past them, and we're on to the bar, and the main character's job is threats. Oh, we forgot to say that he's got a dog. Miss Deagle doesn't like the dog. Again, very Wizard of Oz-y.
Yes.
And apparently the dog broke Mrs. Deagle's ornament for some reason.
Unclear, don't matter. All I do know is that this dog actor was apparently fantastic to work with, as it had wonderful facial expressions. Mm-hmm. Also, they spent like a few days trying to get it to bond with Zach, and it just really didn't care for him.
No.
So to get it to follow him around, they have like a little fishing line tied to it. And like, when you know that, it's so hard not to see it.
Yeah, because there's a couple times where like the dog isn't like
He's
really
not paying
following.
attention. He's going his own way. And then like, the kid will start running and the poor dog is like, oh gosh, I guess we're going.
Oh yeah, no. And also just because we go from here to the main character at the bar again. And his job is being threatened, but he's still doing comics. Little things that like really don't
It
mean
doesn't
anything.
mean anything and it's not going to pay off.
Yeah, and where his boss is like, you know, you could be like me. I'm 23 and I'm the vice president of this bank, which by the way,
That's impressive.
His boss is Judge Reinhold, who's the father in Santa Claus, or is the stepfather in Santa Claus.
I'd like to think these two movies are related.
I have seen this man in 2 movies this year.
Yeah.
Like, not intentionally, like, seeking him out. I've seen him in this, and also this really shitty movie that he and Nicolas Cage are in together called Zandali.
Of course. Of course that would be the connection.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched, like, 50 Nick Cage movies this year, so...
Good for you.
But the other thing they're setting up with all this is that everyone's working extra to meet ends meet because his love interest is also working in the bar, and also like for some reason his boss is also hitting on them, which
a little weird.
So I got a question. Maybe you have an answer.
I don't know.
So the boss Gerald, tries hitting on her and flexes with he's got cable. Was cable that big of a thing back in the day?
I couldn't tell you if cable was like the hot shit. I do know though that it was considered a bit of a luxury.
It's basically the 80s Netflix and chill, right?
Yes, but like I remember
the way he's using it.
The way he's using it is like Netflix and chill, but I do remember like there was a time like where like cable was like a bit of a big deal because there was so many channels you could watch movies. Like it was like before there was easy access to any form of video. So there was no YouTube. There was barely there was the radio and your own record collection
and video rentals
and even the video rentals, like you weren't getting like the selection we have today. You had a very limited amount, especially for the town that this is depicted in. Like you're like the movie theater has 2 options.
I mean, the theaters I lived at, Luxembourg had a better theater, but the base theaters were very much that same way, where it's like you got one movie, and that's like all that's showing. Or if you're lucky on a Friday, they've got a movie for the kids earlier, and then they got an adult movie later. Yeah,
that's the vibe that this town is kind of giving. And the other thing, though, that I will say I don't understand is the boss hitting on her, because like it's not played through anywhere else. Like
we don't see the boss ever after this.
That's
this
true.
Scene again.
Well, and it's not even like played up like, oh, she's like the town's cutest, hottest, you know.
She's the bank's hottest girl.
Yeah, but like it's not implied that she is like the greatest girl in town, and it was something they specifically wrote for her because they were a little worried that Kate's would be perceived as quote unquote too sexy for this character. She was meant to be a little bit more like
homely.
Yeah, like
a Midwest 8.
Yeah, she was meant to be like a girl that you knew at high school who like, yeah, she's pretty and cute, but like you weren't seeing her as a movie theater girl because her other works had been a little bit more risque. And so the director and the writer were a little worried that like the people coming to see this movie would be like putting that on her. So they specifically wrote her to be just very normal high school girly as opposed to be like the bombshell of the town.
Okay. I get that.
So why is the bank man hitting on her? I couldn't tell you.
Just there to cause some dumb drama that goes nowhere.
I'm guessing just to like make you hate him a little bit, but I don't know.
I don't know. Billy is back home, and we get a little bit, and I do appreciate this a little in the writing, is a sword falling down, and It's a Wonderful Life is playing on TV.
Yeah, I mean, it feels correct.
Yeah, and we're going to introduce some more of the dad's inventions. They're rather comedic. The orange juice machine doesn't actually make orange juice that well.
I'm in love
or
with
sorry, it's the egg splitter.
I love this egg splitter because Jack, who is a very wonderful talker on the commentary, he reminisces so hard about this whole movie, but in like the best way possible.
Yeah.
And he talks very like it with a lot of praise about the pop department and how they had to actually make these devices and make them so they didn't work, which was apparently rather difficult.
Yeah, it's so hard to it's so hard to put an avocado to some alligator clips and attach it to a battery.
There's like a bunch of different vegetables being electrocuted in the background. It's great.
I do want
because there's the avocado one. There's like an artichoke at one scene.
That's what I was thinking. The artichoke.
There's other vegetables that are just like hanging out in the background for no reason.
Well, I wonder if I don't know. They never mention it, but there's that album Plantastasia or Plantastasia, the one that's music for plants by plants.
Yeah. I don't think that's what's happening here, but I would love to think it is.
Who knows?
All I know is that the prop department did a fantastic job of not just making these inventions feel like they're so close to being real and working, but like having something catastrophically wrong with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're so ingrained in this like family's life that it has this like very specific niche nostalgia thing. Where, like, there was a handful of other movies where the, like, dad being a terrible inventor is also the trope. And none of those movies go together, but they all seem to have a place in your memory.
Would it be like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Okay. Flubber had kind of the same vibe.
I was thinking Flubber, too, but, like, I've never seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids all the way through. I've seen snips.
It's very similar. Same, like, older version would be, like, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Still, I've not seen that.
You won't like it, but I'm gonna make you watch it.
You have yet to see.
I own it. We'll watch it eventually. You're gonna hate every minute. But, like, it is a trope that is very, like, it is a dumb trope that I think a lot of writers do not like to lean into because it automatically makes your father figure seem a little dumb and ditzy.
Well, no, that's...
And I like it for this movie, though.
Well, and it makes the father even more dumb and ditzy because they kind of hint that, like, or no, they don't hint. They heavily state that Billy's job as a bank teller is holding this whole thing.
Yes.
Funding the entire family, not just holding it together just by a thread.
No.
It is their bread and butter is this man working a bank telling job.
And as a child, I did not really comprehend that. But now as an adult and an adult living in the year of our, recession 2023, I want you to imagine a high school kid on a part-time salary at the bank.
No. He's a college kid.
Oh, he's a college kid, but
they are college kids.
But, like, he's a fresh college kid, and you know it.
Oh, well, we'll get into him being a college kid in just a bit, because it's...
They have, like, a 2-story house with 3 beds, 2 baths, a yard, 2 cars. One of it is a junkie, but, like, that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Like, the dad is just over here, and, like, the dad's inventions, if they were, like, cobbled together kind of like childish style, I would have been like, oh, well, at least it's like made out of his basement. Some of these have like injection molded plastic parts. And it's not even like it has a modeled chicken egg on the top of it. And it's covered, like, this isn't a full invention.
Yeah.
He's patenting these.
He's making them in like kind of a factory setting, basically.
Yes, he is paying someone to make these, and they don't even work yet. This kid is making so much money at the bank.
I guess.
That or they need to like start running from the law. I don't know which.
I don't know. But Dad finally shows up, and in comes Mogwai, who's quickly named Gizmo.
Adorable, and also started the trend of all small and brown dogs being named Gizmo. To this day, it is one of the top 10 most popular names to name your small dog.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah.
Huh.
Gizmo was a name beforehand. It was a cutesy name. However, this movie really like kicked off the idea of naming your dog Gizmo.
Interesting.
Same thing with the Lassie series. From Lassie forward, there was like a wave of dogs that all kind of looked like collies that were all named Lassie.
I wonder how many St. Bernards were named Beethoven.
A lot.
Jeez.
A lot. We used to have St. Bernards, and there's like, that was one of the first things people guessed its name was.
What was its name?
Annie. We had several, but that was the one I remember.
Was she named after, like, the...
No idea.
Okay.
I have no clue. I'm sure she was named after something very specific. I don't remember.
I was thinking, like, the Animal Crackers.
Maybe.
Annie. Wait, is her name Annie?
I don't remember.
Do I have Animal Crackers in my soup?
Well, the redhead Annie is a little orphan girl who sings Tomorrow, Tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Shirley Temple, who
Shirley
sings...
Temple.
Which would have been another good name for a St. Bernard.
Yeah. Actually, that'd be...
But no, this movie is one of the, like, there are a handful of names that just kind of, like, go through the system. And, like, right now we're currently living in an unfortunate system of Bellas and Lunas. But for a while, Gizmo was a top name, and still is. It is still in, like, the top 10 of dog names for small
Where
breeds.
does Bella and Luna come from?
I have no idea, but, like, every other frickin' dog or cat is named Bella or Luna.
Huh.
I don't know. I don't know where those ones specifically come from. But Gizmo is this movie.
I just call my cats, like, fat bitch and loud bastard.
If you were to put those down on the paperwork at the vet, I would pay you money.
Well, that would be me predicting my cat's fat, so...
That's not hard. It's a cat.
Yeah. But also, I love this bit, too, because we're 3 seconds into them having Gizmo.
They're already fucking it up.
Yeah, they're breaking the rules, and the dad doesn't even bring the rules up right away. He's
No!
just like...
And it's not... Okay, here's the other thing, though. It's honestly, like, by movie standards, these are 3 rather simple rules.
Mm-hmm.
They are not hard for this random family to, like, participate in. They are lucky that the first thing they didn't do was just, like, dunk it in water.
Or give it water to drink. Because
Yes!
what does Gizmo drink?
Nothing. Gizmo doesn't... Okay, the rules are so vague that it is implied, if you were to follow the rules very literally, that Gizmo cannot bathe and Gizmo cannot eat.
Or drink.
Or go outside.
Gizmo's like a hikikomori.
Yes, Gizmo doesn't eat, drink, or, like, go out. Gizmo lives in the closet like a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. For those who don't know, hikikomoris are people who have given up on life and are just...
They're gonna live in their
shut-ins.
apartments forever. They don't leave. Yeah. It's not stated, but again, because of 80s silly movie logic, we can assume that Gizmo is allowed normal food during the day, because we do see him eat. He's given food beforehand, and it's implied that it's fine until the clock strikes.
No, Gizmo doesn't eat in this movie at all.
Oh, you're right, he doesn't.
He's offered chicken.
He is.
And Gizmo doesn't accept it.
Because Gizmo is the best one.
Gizmo is, what is it, neutral good?
I don't know.
It's pure good?
He's fluffy. He's fluffy and a little scary.
Kind of.
But not the scariest, and they did that on purpose. You'll notice throughout this movie, especially with Gizmo, is Gizmo himself has a very specific face mold, and they did that on purpose. Gizmo's the only one with that specific face mold. There's like 8 other face molds that are all just a little bit off from this mold, and you'll see that better when we get to that part, but like, I firmly believe that this was a brilliant choice. Like, from the get-go, this Furby-looking fricker is so cute and so ugly simultaneously.
He's like a pug.
He is like a pug. He's like an ugly pug monkey mix, but he has a very, like, soft and happy-looking face that once we start, like, seeing the, honestly, rather rapid decline of what happens, it's very easy to, like, when you're rewatching this movie, be able to point out which one is Gizmo throughout the whole film.
You know who Gizmo reminds me a little bit of?
Who?
Whatever his name is, Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Makes me want to punch him.
Okay, part of the reason why I think you are getting the same feelings is A, the big googly eyes.
Yeah, and the big ass ears, and the wide, like, football-sized face.
That, and the puppetry that was used for Baby Yoda is not that far off of a lot of the puppetry that was needed to make Gizmo work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of models that they needed. Originally, Gizmo was supposed to be much smaller, as were all of them. They were all supposed to be around the 5-ish inch mark, maybe smaller if they could have pulled it. But the models kept breaking.
Well, and yeah, they had to scale them up for close-ups and whatnot, because you can only do so much with a camera.
You can. And honestly, the size Gizmo was at was already a huge challenge. And then they also had a, like, almost 3-foot diameter head of Gizmo.
Yep.
So that they could operate his eyes and mouth better, because those close-ups were hard.
It's like the head alien in Men in Black.
It is, but with a lot less budget and effort. They did put effort in here, but it's effort in the way of, like, someone literally stood around the set with a, like, drill, so they could drill holes into the floor so they could put Gizmo places.
Makes sense. But we're already up to the attic room, and we're starting to cutify Gizmo from the start. He's very cutesy.
I love that we're, again, at an 80s movie where there's an attic bedroom.
Yeah.
It's so, like, I wanted one so bad as a kid.
Hocus pocus.
Yes. There's a lot of examples.
Yeah. Well, they also do a lot of back and forth between Gizmo and the dog, which apparently the dog, that's like all he was really good for was like this one like little minute pan overs to him where he does like the weird facial expression.
Apparently the dog thought Gizmo, like treated Gizmo like an actual living thing and also maybe wanted to eat Gizmo.
No, was terrified of Gizmo. He didn't want anything to do with him.
Perfect. Even better.
Yeah, it's like my cat's in tubes.
And the broom. Yeah.
Yes. But also, I mean, that's the other thing is like we bring Gizmo around to other stuff, but like, is it the intensity of the light or something? Because like the attic's pretty well lit, but he takes him into the bathroom and Gizmo's like, bright light, he hates it.
I wish he had full sentences. Alas, Gizmo was limited to about a 15-word vocabulary, and it was only agreed that those words would be put in to help really solidify that Gizmo was a sentient creature and also a lovable creature. They didn't want him to be too much like a weird gremlin, which I use the word gremlin now, but like
they don't want him going like full Gollum, like
they didn't.
Hates it, precious, it burns us.
Because if he had, he wouldn't have been a pet. He would have been a roommate. A weird roommate, but a roommate.
Gollum's kind of a pet.
That's unfortunate. But they also didn't want him to be essentially a like stuffed toy. They wanted him to hit kind of that E.T. range of like interactivity, where E.T. did it by having E.T. very mobile and interactive, but without any words, whereas this one we went the other way because, unfortunately, Gizmo's puppeteering, while impressive, is very limited. The man has little arms, big ears, and was falling apart constantly. So he just got a handful of lines.
Yeah, I don't blame it. Also, E.T. is another movie I didn't watch until I was an adult.
That's probably for the best. One of these days, even though you get motion sick, you're going to experience the sequel, which is the theme park ride.
We'll see.
It's garbage.
Morning comes and we are got some little more kooky inventions.
I love this orange juice squeezer because it legit looks like something. If it wasn't malfunctioning so badly, it looks like something that would have been sold to me at 2 a.m. in the 90s.
Yeah, it's like our modern It's like any waffle maker or like rice cooker you see now that's like R2D2 or C3PO.
100%, and I'm going to buy it, and it's going to break within a year.
Yeah.
That's what this is, but they've had it for more than a year.
Just don't get the tchotchke shit.
I don't know.
But also the Christmas tree kid shows up and they're best friends.
Yeah,
and this
unexplained.
No, it's explained in the commentary because this movie gets weird because
it does.
The aspect of this is that this movie was originally written with Billy being a 13-year-old kid.
Which makes more sense, I'm not gonna lie.
Makes more sense, but makes the rest of the movie kind of awkward at parts, especially with this friend, the friend shows up in like 2 scenes.
I also think, and they kind of briefly did talk about it in one of the commentaries. So yeah, Billy was meant to be a 13-year-old, and then they started like working their way through it all, and they realized that this movie was incredibly horror-esque, which meant that we needed to up Billy's age because we were gonna up his girlfriend's age.
Yeah.
They need to match at least, kind of get close.
Yeah, you could do like the babysitter.
Yeah, a little weird. No, we've got enough weird happening. We gotta tame it.
Hey, The Babysitter is a good movie, especially I get it, like the young kid in love with the older high school girl.
Sure, but that's not what this movie's about.
No.
And before that they reworked all of this, remember the mom's head rolls down the stairs in this movie.
Yeah, in the original.
Yeah, so like we had to like move him up, and then but they only moved him up in like a couple. Like there are still parts and characters where you're like, why are we friends here? What is this happening? Which is why I legit thought that for a long time, until you pointed out, he's a college student. I thought he was in high school. I thought we hadn't aged up quite that far. But we had to go, we got to go college because he's affording this entire house by himself.
Yeah, he's been working there long enough to make at least 30 grand back then.
That's so much money by that money standards. By 80s money, that's so much money.
No, by 40s standards.
That's true. This movie is supposed to be
50s maybe.
At the latest.
Yeah.
At the latest, that's so much money.
Mm-hmm.
This child doesn't need to go to college. Just work at the bank forever.
Exactly. He could work his way up to be 23 because he's in college. That's why, like, his boss is like, you could be like me. You could be 23 and be the VP.
Okay, that's the other thing that I really never understood, is that he's, like, bragging that he's the VP, but 23 feels young to be a VP of a bank? I have questions about this bank. It feels like maybe it's a money laundering scheme.
He's stooping the old biddy, I guess.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. There are no answers.
There's no answers.
You told me not to ask too many questions, Chris.
You physically can't, because there are no answers.
No, not at all. But also, the one thing that they do in this movie is they're constantly showing, like, pop culture stuff around this time and also around the themes of the movie, too.
They try... They try so hard. However, someone spent, according to Zach, they spent about 30 minutes every morning morphing his hair into this 80s monstrosity.
Jeez.
And it got so bad that, like, when he would go out for lunch and stuff, because the shots took a really long time because of the puppets, people would constantly point out to him, like, wow, look at that hair. And he's like, this was a lot, even for the time.
Yeah. But, I mean, we also get, like, because we're back up in the attic, and he's doing his comics, and we got this dumb setup with the water falling on Gizmo.
Yeah, which apparently was a monstrosity to try and, like, create. Because, again, this movie is almost exclusively with practical effects.
Yes.
Which meant there were people below and above Gizmo plucking and fluffing bits of fur across the room to try and get this to work.
And those furry balls, they said, were, like, the worst prop to work with, because, like, they just didn't know how to, like, actually blow them up without, like, making, like, the seams show and shit.
Yeah, so there's a man laying beneath Gizmo, like, with a straw blowing these up is apparently how they did it at the end.
Yeah. But I do also have questions about Gizmo a little bit more.
Okay.
So, I don't know why I don't know where they figured out that he shouldn't duplicate. Maybe that's just a rule that was passed down for years and just never, like, they explained why they don't duplicate.
It's not explained. However, this is where we very clearly see that all of the other face molds are all off, but in an unsettling way.
Yeah.
Which does imply that no matter what, all of Gizmo's, like, poofed offspring, I guess, or clones, I don't know, are evil. And only Gizmo is good.
I mean, we're 2 days into, and we've already broken to a list. Wait, give me a second here. Is Gizmo a god?
Maybe.
They're created in his image, but their image is flawed, and they are evil, and he is the only pure good Mogwai.
I desperately wish that was the case, but much like the rest of this film, there is no evidence to support this, other than what has already been presented.
No, not at all. But imagine a Mogwai god that, like, Gizmo used to be worshipped in ancient China.
And now he lives in a box in some guy's basement.
Because his evil spawn were too bad.
We had to microwave him to get rid of him. Like, I know this movie puts a lot of effort into how terrible the not Gizmos are. However, they really don't take much to take down.
Yeah.
Compared to other villains. There's not a lot of effort.
I mean, we'll get to the killings in a bit. So, also, actually that brings up good questions, because I have a question as well, that Gizmo looks disappointed in everything that's happening, because it feels like Gizmo has seen this shit happen before.
Yes, and that was intentional. The director talks about how Spielberg himself was like, this was one of his, like, main points that he tried to, like, lead them down towards, even though he didn't want to have a hard hand in it. He did want to make sure this movie was successful.
Yeah.
And so this was one of the points that, like, on top of the face molds, making sure that you know which one is not only the original Gizmo, but also the good one, just off of vibes alone, but also, like, having this distinction between Gizmo being not one step above a pet. So having that dialogue, and then also having, like, God damn it, these guys are idiots sort of reaction to the kids and to the family.
Yeah.
Really does solidify him as, like, yeah, maybe this isn't really like, he's not a pet, but he's also too smart to be a normal pet.
Es ist ein Gotthaustier.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, the German translation of pet is house animal, so Gotthaustier is God house pet.
Yeah, he's getting close.
Love that. But also, this is where, like, kind of the anti-consumerism part of this movie comes in, where
Yes.
the dad is immediately trying to commercialize. He's like, oh, you know what? We could turn these into the best pets in America. Every household will want a Mogwai.
Which is also a little bit of cheeky writing, because from the second Spielberg said, yes, we're greenlighting this, even during all of the, like, problems that popped up and any delays that happened, almost on a daily basis, it was acknowledged that there was going to be a shit ton of toys and merchandise based around this movie.
Oh.
Even before they really finalized a plot that was, like, fully working, they knew what the Mogwais looked like, and they were going to make toys of them.
Yep. 100%.
And to the point where it was becoming a distraction for poor Joe and Chris.
That's actually that's what gave this movie this green light, was the marketing of, like, oh, we can make more. It makes me think of that bit in Spaceballs where it's like,
yeah,
join us for Spaceballs 2, the search for more money.
Honestly, this movie is the search for more money, but that's the other part that's really baffling is, again, remember, this movie was a summer blockbuster. So, like, yes, the toys existed for Christmas, but they were not created for Christmas. Like, Disney is very good about, like, creating a movie that comes out just enough of ahead of Christmas that you are primed and thinking about it to buy toys for children that aren't yours.
Or they're advertising the toys ahead of time.
Exactly.
It makes me think of, like, Pokemon. Like, I knew
Yes,
of Pokemon
Pokemon
before
is also,
I had the game.
Yes, Pokemon does this as well. But yeah, while they had Christmas stuff, it wasn't exclusively Christmas, and it also wasn't, like, pushed for Christmas. They were just acknowledging the fact that every household in America wanted one of these fluffy little dudes.
Yeah.
And they weren't wrong.
Well, same with the Furbies.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
Yeah. But trouble is afoot as the dog is strung up, which I think it's kind of funny and, like, little mischievous before it gets too sinister.
It feels a little goofy still.
Like, I feel like in the original script when they said the dog is strung up, like,
It
the
meant
dog was
something
actually,
different.
like, hung.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also do love that, like, the director goes and says multiple times in his commentary, like, the dog is okay. We set up a whole rig for him.
He had a harness. He was fine.
He's very comfortable and he's very safe.
Yeah. But I also think it's funny that, like, the family immediately blames the old biddy from across the street. It's like,
Wouldn't
she
you, though?
hates him.
Like, look at the little arms on your Mogwais, and you tell me that they are what strung up the dog. As opposed to the Wizard of Oz bad guy living across the street?
But the dog hates her. How would she be able to get the dog? The dog we've seen has escaped her multiple times, apparently.
That's true, but this is also 80s logic, where little old ladies catch dogs very easily.
I guess. I'd like to see my whole try to do that.
Yeah, I would like to see any normal person try and catch a dog that doesn't want to be caught.
Yeah.
These movies make it seem very easy.
Yeah. But also, this part's used to, like, kind of really build up the family, that even though the dad's kind of, like, not really not supporting the family, like, they're still supportive of his inventions and his dreams, even though there's artichoke attached to speakers.
I like that it's wiggling too.
Yeah.
No, that is something that is kind of charming about this entire movie, is despite a lot of people being assholes in this town, everyone who is a friend and or family member does seem to genuinely like each other, which for an 80s film is actually kind of rare, especially a Christmas 80s film. It is a common trope in 80s and 90s films for family members to just openly hate each other.
Well, here's the thing. I think the reason we don't have that is because there's not a sibling.
That's true.
Because usually it's the
sibling is the ass.
Usually it's the sibling hating the other and one parent taking the side of one sibling over the other.
That's true. There is no sibling, and the girlfriend is apparently the goodest, sweetest person in town, so, like, it's hard to hate her. Yeah, there's no one to hate in this film other than, like, the actual bad guys, which is kind of refreshing.
And even then, not, like, really, like...
Yeah, she's just kind of, like, silly. And, like, after a couple of times of watching this, you just kind of enjoy her as the grumpy old woman in town.
Yeah, no, exactly. The old man I aspire to be, the trouble...
A lot of us aspire to be this woman without realizing it.
Yeah. But from here we take Mogwai to a high school teacher to test him for something and duplicate him.
Again, this is very 80s logic, where, like, the high school science teacher is not just, like, the sports coach for the basketball team, but, like, is actually some rare and unusual professor who knows the secrets to the government nuclear codes.
Or he's the top scientist on genetics or
Yeah,
some bullshit.
and he's teaching in this small high school.
He's basically replacing the lore nerd that we normally have.
Yes, this is true, but I do appreciate it because again, there's no answers in this film anywhere, so this fits, and also it does give him a little bit more authority than if it had been like a nerdy friend. This does feel a little bit more like stamped and approved.
I guess.
I question it less.
Yeah, but we're back to the bar, and we learn a little bit more about Mrs. Deagle being evil, which...
Her evilness feels so petty and silly compared to what's about to happen.
Well, it's more than that, because they mentioned that she and her husband closed down the factories.
Which is everyone's job back then.
But also, somehow she's able to stop the plow services if she wants.
This woman owns the city. Except for maybe the bank.
I guess, but plowing seems like a important thing.
It is. It is definitely an important thing, and I don't think it has ever been, unless this is such a small and rural town that they don't get state like highway service to come through, and it's just her personal plow. Even
then, like where my parents lived in Papillion, like we weren't part of the municipality, so we didn't get plowed. We lived like not even a mile from the city.
Yeah.
And we didn't get plowed. We're talking about a mile in a suburban neighborhood.
See, the suburban neighborhood might be the difference. We're out far enough that, like, theoretically, we might get plowed the last. We have a neighbor who has a plow truck, and he just does it for us.
We got plowed the last. That's exactly what it was, is we had to rely on...
You had to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, that's not what's implied here. She's implying that the entire city is going to go without a snow truck.
But and also on top of that, it makes it feel like there's only one person plowing, who is the drunkard xenophobic neighbor.
I do appreciate that we've already been introduced to him, and like, yeah, that's his only role in this movie.
Yeah. Well, his other role in this movie is later to be cannon fodder, but also at this point to explain that, like, where the term Gremlins comes from, that it's dealing with the problems of foreign machinery during World War II, which is supposed to carry on that and hint that this movie is just after the Second World War.
Now, granted, I did not know this and had to look this up quite extensively, and that part is true. Yeah. The original term gremlin came from British World War II and them blaming a mystical little being, they called them gremlins, for fucking up their planes.
Yeah.
And then when they got done with the war and came back, some of those soldiers, one in particular more famous than the rest, wrote children's books. It became part of standard lexicon, and once it's in British lexicon, and especially children British material makes its way around the world very quickly, it's very popular, it became a rather common household name. However, I don't think anyone took the meaning, like the original meaning with it. I think we've all just kind of collectively agreed small fairy-ish creature equal gremlin.
I had a computer virus in high school that was called a gremlin.
Yeah, like it's just a thing that fucks things up and it's a fake thing. So like, I had to look all this up to be like, is this real? This seems the fakest thing in the movie. That's true.
I mean, I knew that term from that, but like...
I had no clue. I just like, and I didn't even assume that this movie had like made up the term. I just assumed it had always been a thing.
Oh, you weren't thinking
like elves. Elves have always been a thing. If I had been informed that Lord of the Rings, Tolkien himself invented the word elf, I would lose my mind.
I believe it.
I would believe it, but I would lose my mind. That would be the same feeling to me.
Okay.
As if this movie had informed me that they made up the term gremlin. I would have been like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, I get it. But this seems also to show that Katie is really a good influence on whoever she talks to.
Yeah,
she prevents the plowman from driving his plow back home drunk. He just walks home.
Which, okay, that's the other thing is kind of strange. Is she does threaten that, like, the plow is going to be, like, removed from the city. Everyone seems to live within a single city block of each other. I don't feel like we need the plow. I don't think we need the plow.
I mean, you need to be able to drive to the store.
I feel like the 5 high school students and like the 6 college kids in this town could probably, with their own hands, shovel all the sidewalks pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty much. But we also get he walks his love interest home, which
so cute.
There's a fun setting up of the carolers for later on.
Yeah,
it's that's what I do like about some of this movie. It's a little subtle in the background.
Again, this movie came out in the summer.
Yeah, we get a random PSA of depression and suicide rates during this time of year,
which is nice. But again, this movie came out in summer.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does also...
Seasonal depression's no joke, but I mean, it's kind of just in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also a dumb time to build, like, the romance between them two, and...
Yeah, but again, this movie's following that 80s, like, standard thing up
until about this point,
yeah,
really.
up until here. This is a normal 80s family flick. And so, yeah, we need to, like, really solidify their long-term happy boyfriend-girlfriend, probably gonna get that ring soon, like, sort of thing.
Yeah. But we quickly cut... Well, we also get this little bit of he kind of pisses her off because he's like, well, why do you hate Christmas? I don't want to talk about it, but tell me why you hate Christmas.
It's standard drama for an 80s film.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't care.
Yeah. But we cut back to this school where the teacher is drawing blood to test for DNA or something. I don't know what the hell he's testing for.
I don't know. He's got like a coffee maker in the background and like some slides and like the periodic table. And
yeah. I would say this is the reason he's targeted first, but also it doesn't really work. Like,
I think it's just to get rid of him so that way we can't ask more questions.
Oh, probably. Oh, 100%. But back home, they're watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original 50s one.
Of course, and I love this. This is so funny.
I mean, it's a good movie for a warning of what's gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, it's just a dumb moment, too, because our main character is like, well, you guys look like you're hungry. Also, he shoved all the other Mogwai into, like, a suitcase.
Yeah, they're just, like, shoved in there. No air holes or nothing, just in the box.
No, it's open. It's an open suitcase that they're on one side of it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like cats getting ready for you to leave.
Yes. Also, I love how cheesy him going to get food is.
Yeah,
because
it's so silly.
There is a plate of open fried chicken.
It's not even like in a container either. It's like a platter of chicken
even
in the
lightly
fridge.
Plastic wrapped.
That would have been better.
Exactly.
I would have even accepted the, like, I live alone method of putting a paper plate on top of your plate as, like, a lid and sticking that in there and be like, I accept if I get food poisoning later. That's fine. I live alone. This man does not live alone. None of these people live alone.
No.
This is a family-sized platter of chicken that is probably for dinner later.
I doubt it's for dinner later because it is late at night. And it feels like it's more leftovers. Which, that platter...
But that's the worst type of leftover.
No. What's great about it, too, is, like, it implies that they've, like, fried, like, 2 whole chickens. Or, like...
Yeah, like, a lot of chicken, because they also ate all of the chicken already for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, exactly.
Now that you mention it, I do question the eating habits of this family.
It's just dumb bullshit.
I love it, though. I also love that, like, clearly no one truly thought about what the Mogwai eat. Because there's other food in the fridge, but, like, they just are like, well, what would a Mogwai eat? I don't know, fried chicken?
Well, here's why I like it, is because the way they eat it, too. Because
yes.
I actually, if I remember right specifically,
they eat
it's like
Muppets.
chicken wings. But no, also, like, the disgusting way they eat.
Yes.
It just makes it so nasty. And, like,
it's
you
so
know that
gross.
You know those people that eat, like, chicken wings, and, like, they just absolutely consume them, and their fingers are all disgusting afterwards.
And, like, that's how you eat when you're, like, home alone, and you're like, I've had a bad day, I'm ordering takeout, and you just consume it.
Or your peas in a bowl.
Again, home alone, had a bad day, I'm gonna consume it. But yeah, no, they're just like, and I also love that there is a level of disgusting that only a rubber-faced puppet can portray. Because they are all gummy.
Well, it also makes me think of, oh god, what's his name? Sugi's gonna kill me over this. The, is it Denethor? The guy in Lord of the Rings who's eating tomatoes.
Denethor, yeah. The Steward of Gondor.
Yeah.
Yeah, as he's being sung to. Yeah, it does have a similar vibe, but one feels villainous, whereas this one just feels greasy.
No, if this feels villainous, it feels like the way they're eating is, like, very... It makes me think of, like, when they do close-ups of, like, locust and shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does not feel like a mammal eating. It feels like an other creature eating. This doesn't... Because, like, there's...
I've seen chimpanzees eat like this.
I
watch a lot of stuff die, so...
I know you do. However, I would argue that chimpanzees have a lot more teeth than these things.
Yeah, true.
These things eat with, like, their whole face mushing together, because, again, they're puppets. And it's not even advanced puppetry. There's no Jim Henson here helping along. This is just, like, 8 dudes. And they weren't even, like... They had some puppet masters, but again, the budget was really low, and they didn't have enough puppet masters to match the number of puppets that they had. So very regularly, just random people would be asked to put their hand up a puppet.
I don't blame them.
I mean, I would. That sounds great. But yeah, like, there's no, like... With the exception of Gizmo, who was taken incredibly seriously to, like, again, portray the main character, a lot of the bad Mogwai are, like, real sloppily done, and it kind of works in their favor.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And, I mean, from here we get this, like, weird little bit of, like, the teacher working past 2 a.m. Like... Standard day. I mean, it's a way to show that, like, hey... Maybe Billy fucked up and he fed the gremlins a little too late.
Yeah.
But also, the teacher's never given the rules.
No. They're, like, the amount of negligence that happens with this pet ownership business is really disgusting, but hilarious.
Yeah. Well, also, I think Billy just forgot the rules.
I would also agree that Billy does not understand the importance of the rule.
No, he forgets the rules until it's important.
That's true.
Just like, okay, Mogwai's or...
But they don't explain why. Like, at no point are the whys of the rules explained. Because I feel like if you explain, like, hey, you can't feed them after midnight, because if you do, they turn into a murderous version of themselves.
But why does that make them evil? Why?
I don't care about that part why. I just need to know, like, if I feed it chicken wings at 2 a.m., I'm gonna die. That's more important than if I feed it chicken wings at 2 a.m., it's going to puke on the rug.
It's like that yokai asking for a different color toilet paper, or asking for a piece of toilet paper.
And you have to give it the right color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels very similar, because again, if I know my life's in danger, that's different than me finding out that I fed my cat the wrong treats, and now it's going to, like, I'm going to wake up to puke. That's a different level than if you feed Hobbs at 2 a.m. and she murders you in your sleep. That's a different feeling.
I feed Hobbs 2 minutes late from her regular feeding time and she pukes.
Exactly. That's a different level of upset than you feed Hobbs 2 minutes late and we don't hear from you for a week.
Yeah. I agree. But in the morning, the evil ones have formed cocoons.
They're so gross and sticky, and honestly, this is really great props.
We've been duped by the alarm clock. And yes, no, the props are
They're so
great.
good.
Which, there is some really dumb menopause joke in this bit too.
There is.
It's
so quick and like light.
So, yeah, we have to go back to the school because like here's why the joke doesn't work is because the joke is supposed to be for a 13-year-old saying it, and us watching it as 13-year-olds, or like the entire movie being from the perspective of a 13-year-old. Yes. It's like in the It movies, when it's the younger kid saying a bunch of dumb shit that he doesn't really understand. It's that kind of humor, but it doesn't work because it's only like this. It's only the Christmas tree kid who says it for like one line.
Yeah, and also you don't care about the Christmas tree kid almost at all.
No, because this is like the last scene he's in.
Yeah, it really is. He very much feels like the random kid in your kitchen that you're like, who is this?
No, exactly.
And no one knows.
Also, I do want to point out, the original screenplay, Gizmo was the only one, and he was supposed to transform, but Spielberg wanted to keep Gizmo because he was cute, and as we talked about earlier, the executives saw his ability to be merchandised.
And boy, howdy, they weren't wrong.
No.
This was the correct way to go, because not only did they see this as a merchandising, but once they had rewritten to having Gizmo be forever good, but have the potential to continue to spew more chaos, they immediately were like, aha, a second one.
Yeah. This is why Gizmo is Mogwai God.
Yeah, well, maybe. Or just the mother Mogwai. I don't know.
Yeah, or their Gotthaustier.
Yeah, unknown.
I don't know how to translate it to Chinese, so German's the closest I can get. But from here we get a little bit more of the mother back home cooking, as my father calls, weird inventions that don't work.
Yeah, and honestly, it's still charming, which is good, because we're about to remove a lot of the charming.
Oh, yeah. Because immediately we're back to the bank, and some woman is pleading with Miss Deagle because we just got laid off, but we got new jobs. We'll pay you in 2 weeks. She's like, well, that doesn't pay me today.
I do love how much effort they put into making this woman the bad guy to immediately forget she exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because immediately we're back to the school, and the change is complete with whatever the Mogwais are turning into. And also, by the way, the music is really changing. We're getting little hints, and I'll get into it in just a bit.
Yes.
But also, we get the actual kind of first bits of horror where we see the shadows, the creature skittering in the background.
Yep.
The Chucky doll.
Yeah.
Or sorry, good guy doll.
Yes.
And also, we get our first death of the movie 50 fucking minutes into this movie.
The horror element of this movie is so close to the end that a lot of people forgot how much horror was in this when they became parents later.
Yeah, we're halfway into this movie, and we're
over half.
Just about.
Yeah.
But we've talked about movies where, it's constantly building this tension. This tension's built up for, 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's no, this wasn't the tension we were building to.
Yeah.
We were building to, maybe the main character's proposing to his girlfriend at the end. That'd be stressful. Christmas. Or, losing his job at the bank. Or, Christmas is ruined because the mean old lady won't plow the streets. But that's not what happens.
All of that's out the window.
We don't care anymore because now, chaos.
Yeah, because immediately we're back to the school where Billy discovers the corpse with his best friend his best friend's there. But this is the last thing we see with him, too.
Yeah, bye, best friend. Don't care about you anymore.
But also, this is another scene that was supposed to be more gruesome. Yeah. We get the one needle in the butt. Which also I wonder what was injected. But the original...
Unknown.
The original, he was supposed to be just full of needles.
Yes. I love how I do like that this movie is the toned down version. With all of this said, I want you all to go into this movie with the knowledge that this movie was rated PG because PG-13 didn't exist just yet.
I'll get into that in just a minute. I have it saved for the end.
The why is important, but listen to the amount of things that we're going to describe, knowing that this movie was also advertised for children.
Yes. I'll get into that part in just a little bit. But also, there's this weird bit of, they talk about how they just they have bits of them, just consuming everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they dislike fresh fruit in this scene, but will eat glass like the Grinch.
Unknown. I'm wondering if it's maybe just to, really solidify how mean they are.
I guess.
Unclear.
They
like fried chicken.
That's how the Grinch eats, they were Mogwai at that point.
I think they'd still eat fried chicken.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
I don't know.
It's like how the Grinch eats the onion and uses it to
rub his armpits.
Himself.
Yeah. Feels the same.
But quickly, this thing's into the vent. We've only seen the claw.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good scene.
It's fun. They've done a good part of actually adding to the horror. But that mystery's short-lived because immediately we see them in the nurse's office and it escapes.
Yes.
But from here, we cut back to the family home where they're fucking with Gizmo.
Yeah, they really are.
And also, the part where Gizmo is on the dartboard was last minute because the animatronics crew hated working with him.
Yes.
And they wanted one scene where they could kind of just torture him. And apparently, that scene where he's spazzing out is just the animatronic, short-circuiting.
And also, apparently they hated working with him so much as an animatronic that they had a running list of things they would like to do to Gizmo. And apparently it's somewhere on the set is this list. It's never quite revealed. I'm wondering if maybe it was not actually put in or not in the final cut. Not sure. But it was a rule both by the cast and crew, but also by the writer and director that to be on the list, it had to be a really terrible thing that you could do to Gizmo.
Oh, I guarantee you, because of Rule 34,
oh, I know.
There are terrible things that have happened to Gizmo.
I have no doubt in my mind either, but I do appreciate a writer and director who are understanding that, the thing they have created and asked you to build is so terrible to work with that they encourage you to think up terrible ways to kill their creation.
Yeah. But also, the mother's rightly on edge in this scene. She hears weird noises from the attic. I would be too.
Yes.
And she gets a call from Billy of don't go upstairs, get out of the house. The killer's in the house.
It's a good little horror movie throwback. It's cute. I like it.
It is. Also, there's a nice little nod to E.T. where
Yeah.
they are like, Fernhound caca.
Yeah.
They like the word caca a lot.
Yeah, it was understood as like kind of a
Slang for poop.
Well, yes, but also like it was a fairly universal one because this movie was going to be released in several different countries, meaning that they needed to film in several different languages.
Mandel did the voice of all of them.
Yes, he did. And they were pleased to find a word that they didn't have to translate. It kind of just, no matter where you go, they all agreed that word was understood.
Yeah. And I was watching this video the other day on, like, this general understanding of what makes a sound, or what makes a word round or sharp.
Yes. And this word fits it perfectly.
Yeah, just enough. But we got a little bit of mischief in general, fuckery, the music's playing.
Yes.
Good horror tropes.
It is all wonderfully tropey.
Yeah. But it is now time for the kitchen slaughter, and this is the part when I watched this for the first time when I realized this wasn't a children's movie.
Yeah, you have to get kind of far into it to find it, don't you?
Yeah. And I remember I was watching it while I was working on my thesis.
Ooh.
And paused it and went over to my friend's desk, and I'm like, Gremlins isn't a kid's movie, is it? And they're like, no, did you think it was? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I didn't watch it until now. Which also is controversial because at this point, this movie had been marketed as child-friendly like E.T.
Yes.
Because the only thing we had seen was Mogwai in a box and Spielberg's name on it, who had just done E.T.
Also, it released the same day as Ghostbusters, another film targeted towards kids.
Yes.
Who also came with a toy deal that happened before the movie was even out.
Yeah. But because of this scene, when they screened it, they knew from the audience reaction that this would be a hit.
Oh, they knew they had a hit, but they also knew, and Spielberg specifically knew, that we needed to work the rating system a little bit. Between this and the beating heart scene from Indiana Jones, this movie, along with that, really did help push for the PG-13 rating.
It created the PG-13 rating.
Yes, which, funny enough, the second one went out of its way to hit that rating mark.
Yeah. Which, finally, the inventions are useful. They're good at killing, but they're not good at doing what they want.
A little upsetting, but also very 80s.
Yeah. And also, the other thing is, like, we've barely seen these gremlins.
And we're already killing them. And I love that.
No, not just that. 4 out of the 5 attic gremlins are killed.
Yeah. Oh, not just that, but they're killed in very creative ways.
Yeah.
And I love a creative death.
Microwave, blender, and the other one's not so creative. Just two of them. Well, no, one of them's not creative. Just stabbed to death in the other one when he hacks off the head into the fireplace.
The other thing that is fun, and you do have to really pay attention for it, but the microwave does ding when it's done.
Yeah. Have you seen Microwave Massacre yet?
I don't think so, but I need to.
Oh, it's so dumb.
It sounds perfect.
But, I mean, it's a good way of bringing up, like, Chekhov's sword of, like, the sword that we saw earlier is actually sharp and used again.
I love how that's the home defense sword.
Yeah. But only Stripe's left, and I guess the lab one's left, but we kind of forget that one even exists.
We completely forget about that one, because Stripe is, and they knew this from the beginnings, that they were going to have a good versus evil sort of Mogwai setup, so we already had Gizmo. We knew we needed one to be, like, the ringleader, so we could market toys for him, and so Stripe was born. There's several scenes where supposedly Stripe is in it. However, they forgot to put his mohawk on him because it was detachable. Because, again, there was a lot of puppets made, but they were made using the lowest budget possible, which meant if we could have them all be interchangeable, we're gonna.
Yeah.
So there's several scenes where apparently Stripe is supposed to be in it, but he's missing the hair.
I got it.
Also, all of the bad ones' faces are interchangeable. So, like, you can't even pick him out because he's got a specific face. They purposefully swapped the faces around because they only had so many expressions.
Well, and that works, too, because, I mean, we're barely introduced to him because it's time to save the town, but not without rescuing Gizmo, of course.
Of course, look at him. He's so cute.
But also I wonder, is, like, the YMCA just, like, the closest thing, or did they just follow the path? Or are gremlins naturally attracted to water?
Or are they just naturally attracted to the YMCA? I don't know.
I mean...
Unclear.
Yeah. Which also, I mean, Stripe just scratching him instead of killing him is just him being a dick, kind of.
Yeah, but also, like, it's just building that, like, they really did try to put a lot of horror movie tropes into, honestly, a very short portion of the movie.
Yeah.
So we had to put some stuff somewhere.
Yeah, it's time to multiply in the pool, basically.
Of course it is.
Which I do think the bellowing of the fog or smoke is a good, like, oh shit moment of, like...
I do too.
Because it happens so quickly. It's not like just like, oh, a little fog rolls in. It just bellows real quick.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's right to the police station, who are drunk on bourbon and eggnog, which probably would have been a good choice for this, but...
It would have been, but at the same time, a good raid in the fridge feels appropriate.
Yeah. And to be fair on their point, it feels a bit far-fetched to, like, for the police. It feels like that, well, even though he's not a cop, the hocus pocus moment of, like,
yeah.
You lit the black flame candle. Yes, and he's a virgin.
No, it does. And it also, like, we have spent so much time showing you as an audience, proving to you as an audience that nothing happens in this town.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing that's happening is a random woman is threatening not to plow one of the streets.
Yeah.
Arguably the only street.
The cops are getting drunk on Christmas Eve. Yes, it's Christmas Eve right now.
It's Christmas Eve.
So, he gets mogwai not at Christmas Eve. Now.
For Christmas Eve,
yeah.
it is time for slaughter.
A day or two before.
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, it feels accurate that, like, oh, it's small town. Of course the cops are drunk on Christmas. They're on duty, but they're not really on duty.
It's Christmas in the 80s. What could possibly go wrong?
Well...
This is what goes wrong.
The streets go wrong because now they're overrun with true chaos, which originally they were supposed to have thousands, but they couldn't afford it.
No, they couldn't, because again, this is almost exclusively a, like, prop production. There's not, like, a ton of CGI or editing that goes with it. So, like, they physically didn't have enough puppets they barely had enough puppets to do the end scene, and that included them splicing stuff together.
To be fair, this is really before CGI.
Yeah.
And this is the only stop on animation scene they could afford.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah. Also, I do think it's funny, the neighbor that first gets killed is, he owns a foreign TV.
Yeah. It's a little hint that, like, there's a lot of little hints that was written into this movie. The prop people put it in, the writer, the director did, and yet there's so little emphasis put on it that it's just kind of existing with no one watching it.
And they get killed by the plow, which his wife didn't deserve that, but
no,
whatever.
But, you know, it's a horror movie.
Yeah, there's cannon fodder. But, like, really, this is our second and third death of the movie.
Yeah.
And also, I do want to point out that the music has fully turned carnival-like.
It's great.
Because the composer purposely sought out carnival music and tried to twist it.
The music for this movie is phenomenal. Granted, it's not the type of music that you necessarily want to listen to without the movie. However, it's impactful enough to have won by itself many awards, and the music CD alone be released multiple times.
Huh, I didn't look that up.
When it first released, it only had the main scores played in the piece in their entirety, which is only about 6. The whole film uses those 6 broken up in a few different arrangements, but, like, as a whole, the pieces were only released that way. And then later on, because this movie is A, so popular, and B, like, the music is that good, the music was re-released and reworked to have it in both movie format and in totality song version.
It's like how they composed Akira, where it's bits and pieces that you could mix in modules.
Yeah, like if you listen to Akira all in one go, it, like, the songs are all over the place. However, if you listen to just the song, it's not that many songs.
Yeah, and sadly you can't listen to that soundtrack on Spotify at the moment.
Oh, womp womp.
Yeah, but quickly, we're back to the station. Still not serious, even though they've seen Mogwai or Gizmo.
Yeah, the town's reaction to being invaded by these creatures is surprisingly calm.
Yeah.
No one's really that bothered.
Well, because they don't have time to react. They're all getting slaughtered. Like, I mean...
That's true, but also, like, no one's out here being like, what the hell is that thing?
No.
They're all just like, I'm dead,
Yeah, the old Biddy is killed off real quick. She's got a bunch of cats, but that's when, like, the cops are like, well, what's going on with this? Like, they start getting calls and like, well, I guess we should go check it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, the Gremlins exist. They even get Santa Claus.
Oh, no, not Santa.
But, like, I do want to go back for just a second here.
Okay.
Mrs. Deagle.
Yeah.
Her death just feels so less impactful. Like,
Yeah.
I get why
I feel like she was originally meant to have a different death.
Yeah.
But whoever the death she currently has was taken out of the movie.
So that way they could finish off her story.
Yeah. Or the death she had was cut for budget. And so we replaced it with something a little bit more easy.
Yeah. And to be fair to the cops, they get the hell out of there, and I get it. It's above their pay grade.
It really is, because apparently, like, this town is all sorts of weird.
Yeah. And we got a little bit of the dad can't reach them. Kind of a useless scene. It just...
A little bit, but again, like, we did build up the family so much that, like, you do care about the human characters.
The dad checks in every now and then.
Yeah, like, he's not a useless guy. He does care. He's just bad at his job.
Kind of. I mean, his job's a good one for killing.
Well, he doesn't advertise his toys as that, so...
It feels like he's on the tail end of, like, if Ghostbusters tried to commercialize.
It'd be like if someone invented a toaster, but instead of advertising it as a toaster, they, like, advertised it as a bath bomb. It's maybe not really something that you do.
That'd be... I'm sure there's a toaster bath bomb out there.
There is. I've seen it come across my For You page a few times a year, because it is hilarious.
Do you need help, Chris?
I don't, but I do watch a lot of bath bomb videos. And eventually, if you watch enough bath bomb videos, you're gonna find the weird ones.
I bet. But now the Gremlins are tormenting Christy at the bar now, the love interest. We haven't said her name until now.
Because honestly, she doesn't need a name. She's the girlfriend.
Yeah, which, to be honest, for what the scene is, it's so long and chaotic.
Yeah, you kind of also forget about it after the scene's over, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's just showing the Gremlins going to town, living it up, them being self-destructive, and will really take out their own if they feel it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, like, this pub feels like it's a small town tavern.
Oh, for sure. This is, like, the only place to get food and alcohol.
Yeah, it feels like it's not that different from our normal night.
No, this is probably pretty standard.
Yeah. Also, I do like this little bit in it. One of the Gremlins shoots a picture of a plane, and it looks like a World War II plane.
Yeah.
It's a nice little, like, kind of comedic fun.
There's a lot of good little nods. There's also a lot of cameos that we haven't been talking about, but if you feel like it, there's like 7 or 8 cameos. Really? Yeah. The director and the writer are both in here. I think Spielberg might have made a quick appearance. There's a lot of people.
Oh, just people in the street kind of thing.
But, like, they're kind of throughout the whole movie. So yeah, like, there's a lot of fun little, like, if you want to, you can Easter egg the hell out of this film. Okay.
Well, and also, like, this bit, Danny shows up with his car, which only works for, like, this one scene because immediately, like...
Cars can smell fear. He has no fear in this moment.
Well, I guess.
I don't know.
But, like, immediately, like, they try getting out of the car, it just doesn't work.
That sounds like an old car. That feels correct.
Yeah. And it's very short-lived because we're on to the bank, the destroyed bank. Let's rephrase that.
Yeah.
And we get the kind of dumb but story of, like, I mean, it's her only defining moment in this movie.
It really is. I also love that her defining moment is only in this because the writers heard the real life stories that this was based off of and went, wow, we need to put this in our movie.
Was it?
Yes, this has happened to multiple people.
Oh.
So, the story of why the girlfriend does not like Christmas is that her father went missing on Christmas Eve, did not come home Christmas Day, and then several days later was found dead in their chimney dressed up as Santa Claus. This is terribly sad and also very irrelevant for the rest of this movie. And again, the only reason it's in here is because, unfortunately, this has happened to real life people.
No. The only reason it's in the movie is because the director was so adamant about keeping... Dante was so adamant about keeping this in the movie. The studio tried getting it
they tried very
so
hard.
Many times.
Like, to the point of, like, even, like, as it was getting ready to go out the door, they're like, but what if we cut it?
Yeah, no, like...
No, this, like... It didn't need to be in here, but then when they were like, we're getting rid of it, he's like, no, this is the hill I die on.
Yeah, because it was like, he's like, it's 50 seconds. It's
her only character development.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
And I agree with him. I do find it funny, though, however, that we've gone through a lot of very exaggerated, silly, over-the-top death scenes, and the original reason this was put in here was because of the real-life, like, stories this was based off of. And he was like, wow, that's sad. That's, like, really depressing for a Christmas film. What if I put it in mine?
I mean,
and then they tried to cut it, and he was like, no, fuck you.
I mean, I get it. And to be fair, I mean, it is, like, she has no other dialogue other than, like, and it also closes up her reason for hating Christmas.
Yeah, and like, it's a pretty solid reason.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more solid than a lot of the other Christmas movies we've watched.
Yeah. Pretty much. But now all is calm because the Gremlins are watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for some reason, which I'm amazed that they even get the picture to start.
Yeah, same.
And also, questions.
Yeah, I have lots of answers for this scene.
Probably not.
Oh.
How do they know the song already?
So, regardless of whether or not you are watching this film from the idea that this is happening like 50s or the 80s, either way, this film would have already been very popular and like well known. This was the first full-length animated film. Disney pushed this heavily. The songs were released with the movie and a little bit beforehand. This was a cult like following the moment it hit.
But that doesn't explain shit.
Oh, okay.
How do the Gremlins know?
Because probably the original Mogwai knew the songs.
So is it like
Gizmo probably is a fan of Disney.
But we have nothing explaining that. They just know it.
Yeah, that's okay. They also know how to do a lot of things.
True. Joint memories, I guess.
I would like to think it's joint memories, as they are like the true evil inside Gizmo. We all know Gizmo is a Disney fan. Look at him.
That cosmic cloud knowledge.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, they are over the moon with this Disney movie, which is hilarious. And also, they this is all of the puppets in one go.
Yeah.
It's also more than all the puppets they had. They had to splice some of the film together to make it look like the theater was full.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't have enough puppeteers, so there's just normal people. Like, with them on sticks. Some of them had them taped to their heads.
Yep.
This was I desperately wish they had taken a picture of everyone being, like, forced to wear as many of these things as they possibly could.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Also, they mentioned in the commentary that it's a jab at Disney, but I think it's a poor one.
I do too, because honestly, all it really does is solidify how impactful Snow White was. Yeah,
they were editing out of, like, smoking that's aged poorly in Disney movies, and it's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, but also, like, smoking in movies in general, and also in theaters in general, is just, like, a thing of the times.
Yeah.
Neither one was special.
No. But also, I do want to say, they have a good plan at getting rid of them all at once.
This is, for a horror film, this is some of the best thought through, like, how do we kill the bad guy?
Mm-hmm. Well, and on top of that, like, they do get rid of all the Gremlins at the last minute, even if it doesn't go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
But Stripes is unintentionally saved from this.
Yes, he is the supreme evil.
Yeah, which it ends up being the final battle because...
Of course.
I mean, he gets into the toy store, they get the big final kiss.
It's a classic scene.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I love how the main actor he's still a little upset that he was originally supposed to be the one to kill Stripes, and yet they edited it to make it look like Gizmo is the one who did it, and he's been outdone by a puppet.
Yeah. Well, what I also think is interesting about this scene, too, is it feels very genre-bending.
Yes.
In the fact that, like, the way he's going about trying to fight him feels very... Was it the second Conan movie? Where he's fighting in, like, the Hall of Mirrors and shit.
Oh, yeah, no.
It feels like a play on, like, that, like, or the Kung Fu movies where,
like, the main character's down and can't get up, and...
Yeah, but instead of mirrors, they use TVs in a taped room.
Yeah, no, it all feels very over the top, but, again, this whole thing's been just ridiculous, so you don't notice, and if you do, it's more of, like, a fun nod than a, like, cheesy get.
Yeah. I also think it's amazing how, like, easily they're able to kill the Gremlins. But, the rest of the town can't do shit.
That's what's really baffling, but also really fun about these bad guys, is unlike other horror movies where if you really sit down and try and, like, puzzle through their logic, they either fall apart completely, or they are essentially unkillable.
Yeah.
These guys are very killable.
Oh, yeah. Or the fact that the Gremlins all at one point decided, let's congregate at the movie theater and watch a movie together.
I like that, though, because it proves that they're stupid.
True. They're like that, actually, I think it was Disney who made this one, the documentary about the lemmings jumping off the cliff.
Oh, yeah, and then it proved to be false. Yeah.
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 But, I mean, honestly, Billy's getting his ass kicked most of this movie.
I do love that, like, this movie came at it from a horror movie standpoint. That was their first viewpoint when making this film, and they consciously decided that most of the killing was going to be done by the ladies of this film.
And even then, like, not really?
There's not a lot of killing for a horror film. Most of it is just comedic silliness that happens to end in death.
And also, like, even Billy's final saving is a dumb reason because they only kept Gizmo's bit because they wanted Gizmo to feel more impactful to the movie, because Gizmo honestly has done shit this whole movie.
Gizmo was supposed to have a more impactful role. However, they realized very early into the filming that Gizmo physically couldn't be filmed walking. He looks really bad, and it's very difficult to shoot him because he has tiny little legs. And again, they had to drill holes every single place they wanted to put him because they were not master puppeteers. They did not plan this movie via a puppet setting, which is why we see a huge difference in things like the Jim Henson Company. And why their puppets can be shown, like, all four limbs up off the ground, doing things like riding bicycles, that sort of stuff. It's because they have people who dedicate their entire lives to tricking you into looking at puppets. This one, they went, but what if it was puppets?
Yeah.
And then hired, like, some guy who's, like, a little into puppets. And don't get me wrong, it looks great. It works, and it still looks good.
Yeah.
But it looks good because it is done in, honestly, a not great style, which meant that most of Gizmo's scenes where he was going to be helping the fight got cut because they had to put him in a backpack.
Yeah.
And they liked it so much that they kept it that way.
I get that. I mean, even Stripe's death is, like, it works so well because it's cheesy. Like,
it's so silly.
He's taunting him till the end because, of course, that's the thing the bad guy's gonna do. Yeah. And it's his hubris that kills him, is like, oh, I got you cornered. I got a gun. What you gonna do?
Yeah, it's perfect ending.
And even the skeleton leap at the end is dumb and cheesy.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't do that at the end. That's always annoys me at the end of horror films where it's like, oh, we killed the monster. Oh, but it crawled out just a little bit.
But at the same time, this movie knew with its writing that they didn't have to do that because Gizmo lived.
Yeah. No,
which
exactly.
Is honestly very smart, even if you're not planning on making a bajillion movies and a bunch of toys.
And even then, like, I have questions of, like, what happens to the bodies if there's some great government cover-up. Because at the night, we have news in the background that's all chalked up to mass hysteria. Which is hilarious, but also does not make sense. But yeah, the movie, like, glosses over the horrors that just happened, because our shop man comes back and is like, you can't have that. You shouldn't have had my Mogwai. Even before that, we get this little, like, there's a little blurb in the background of, like, old Miss Deagle's reign of terror and influences. Yeah, they're still celebrating this woman's death, even though the town is riddled with bodies. Yeah, like, I guess her hubby and her were involved in some shady shit. Honestly, that makes a lot of sense. But it means nothing. It's just some dumb little bit in the background. No, and honestly, that's the level of fun that, like, clearly the cast, crew, and the writing staff had when making this that makes this movie good. Yeah. It's that level of stupid, but, like, someone thought about it. No, exactly. And like I said, the shopkeeper reappears, which also ad-libbed the whole scene, which... Not just the whole scene. There is, again, though, according to the other actors who worked with him, this man ad-libbed almost his entire role. I don't blame him. They gave him lines, and he didn't read them. And it works because it just confuses the whole family, and confuses me too, because he's like, he's barely in this. He's like, you don't know the meaning of nature's gift. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? What is Mogwai supposed to be? You can't do shit with him. It does kind of make me wonder if there's, like, good superpowers to the Mogwai that we weren't told about. Yeah, like if you feed him flowers, he solves world hunger or something. Or if you feed him before midnight, or not even that. Like, if you don't feed him for 24 hours or something, you get some reward. He makes it rain or something. Yeah, like, he feels like that level of, like, wow, we weren't given the full instruction pamphlet. Yeah, and we get some little dumb bit of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, which is, again, only in there because they had the voice actor already going. And also just some dumb shit of, like, it's like, will I see him again? You might. It's like, well, what is exactly? It's like... Again, though, that man ad-libbed his entire role, so, like, we don't know what it means, and neither does he. Billy did jack shit. And also, like, the father's, like... The father, on top of that, is like, here, I'll give you a gift as well. We're sorry. Here's a smokeless ashtray. And there's a little bit from that before where he sells it to, like, the postman or something. Yeah, like, he sold just about everyone in town, and
invention at least once.
It's his own invention that works. That's
It's the only invention that works, yeah.
And the old shopkeeper walks off into the night as we're warned of gremlins lurking in any misfortune or any technology that goes haywire. Ooh.
And honestly, it's really cute ending. I like it. It's not really a cliffhanger. It's open-ended enough.
Yeah.
Everything that I care about has been resolved. I'm happy with this
Everything
ending.
you don't care about has kind of been resolved.
That's true. Most of the people that I could have bitched about, they're dead now. So
yeah,
I like this ending a lot for a movie. I think it works great.
I kind of wish that they did make him disappear because they had talked about having him vanish and fade away.
Yeah, I like that he's maybe just a normal man.
A bit.
It would have been cool and silly, but at the same time, we just got done mass killing half this town, so
yeah. And yeah, surprising even to me, this movie was a success. They thought filmmakers weren't expecting it to be as successful as it was.
See, that's the funny thing, though. So the filmmakers, the writers, and the staff all thought this movie was just going to do okay at best.
Mm-hmm.
Spielberg, however, knew better. He banked on this from the second he read the script, and he's like, yeah, even if we have to cut all the gory bits out, this movie's going to make me money.
Yeah, well, and even then, they were surprised it did better than Ghostbusters in New York, but apparently that was chalked up to people hating the production of Ghostbusters because it screwed up traffic for them.
Yes, that's true. In the long run, it ended up second place to Ghostbusters, but that was after several, releasings.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, this movie, along with Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, created the PG-13 rating, which, to be fair...
It needed.
I mean, it led to me not watching this movie because I thought it was a kid's movie, and you, on the other hand,
I watched it because my dad forgot about the murder scenes.
Yeah,
because in his mind, he had remembered the murder scenes not being gruesome. He remembered them being slightly off screen, and I was old enough that I could have handled.
Yeah,
I watched it, and I don't remember being upset or worried about it, but there were people who, when this came out, they took their kids to see this, and they were a little upset about it.
Yeah.
But it was the 80s, and they weren't that upset. It still made a lot of money, and you know what it made more of? Merchandise sales. Holy frickin' shit.
To be fair, movie-wise, the 80s was more conservative. It took 90s when Tarantino came out to, kind of really break that mold.
That's
true. So
I
can see why this movie would upset parents, taking them to what they thought was going to be like an E.T. movie because Spielberg did E.T.
Yes, and it was wildly popular and successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, while I like a vague trailer to a movie, and I know you like almost no trailer if there's going to be any.
No trailer at all.
I will say that the trailer to this movie doesn't really explain the movie.
Shocking.
I know. The trailer that was given originally before this came out was just the little scene explaining the 3 rules to how to own a Mogwai, which doesn't explain the killing. So I understand why people were surprised and upset, but I also understand why a large portion of the audience were surprised and pleased. People went and saw this multiple times.
Oh, no, I mean, I get it, I guess. I mean, and no pun intended, but the movie did spawn so much shit that I didn't realize it did.
So much shit.
And they, it was only touched on in the commentary. I mean, and also, I didn't realize, the longevity of this movie, too, because, partially because E.T. was marketable. That's why they saw Gizmo as marketable. And there was so much merch. There was stuffed animal, dolls, Topps trading cards. There was a spin-off Furby in 2000.
Yeah, there was a novel, games, candies.
Yeah, which
a Pez dispenser was immediately released.
The novel supposedly is meant to be a prequel. And
yeah, I haven't gotten my hands on it, and honestly, I don't care to.
It's on the Internet Archives as time of this recording.
Oh, well, thank you. Free, maybe. But honestly, the story...
It's not canon.
The plot doesn't matter. But this is something that, where E.T. was popular at the time, merchandise-wise, however, now it really only hits a very niche portion of collectors. And part of that is because whether or not you like E.T., you cannot look me in the eyes and tell me he's not ugly.
No.
He's really ugly, whereas Gizmo is really, really cute. And so even now, even though people, much younger than us might not have seen this movie, they have seen a Gizmo, and they have probably owned something with Gizmo on it.
Well, and even then, like in 1984, there was an Atari 2600 game, and he recently became a playable character in 2020's Multiverse.
Yes, so he is still being re-released. Yeah. And honestly, that makes the most sense for this character. It not only feels like something that is natural to come out of him, but it also feels like this movie and like a very 80s thing to do. This was during the height of not just having a like kind of poor dark humor / horror film in the 80s, but it was also during the height of having merchandise specifically towards kids, even if the movie wasn't meant for kids.
Gremlins 3, The Search for More Money.
Well, they did do Gremlins 3 and it was a search for more money.
No, 3 hasn't come out yet. 2 did.
3 is going to happen.
Yeah, 3 is in the works. As the time of this recording, 3 is in the works.
Yeah, 2 did come out. 2's fine. I wouldn't bother. 1 is all you need.
Yeah. I mean, there's also an animated series that just premiered in 2023 this year called Gremlins, Secret of the Mogwai.
Unnecessary, but I will watch it.
Yeah, maybe.
Only because I really desperately want to know, like, what the animation style is going to look like and how it's going to handle this sort of style. Because the entire appeal of this movie is the practical effects. He doesn't translate to other medias super great because he has a very distinct look, one that's nearly impossible to replicate.
Well, and it also kicked off a lot of little monster movies such as Troll and some other ones, like I think Dolls is one of the other ones.
Yeah, there's a whole mess of them, and they're all bad in their 80s. But yeah, they're fun. And again, this is during the height of that idea of an 80s dark comedy and or horror film.
Yeah, no, exactly. And one of the things that they bring up in the commentary that the goal with Gremlins was to ape the worst aspects of human behavior.
I don't think they did that at all.
I think they fail miserably in that goal, at least.
I don't think that should have even been mentioned as a goal. What I think they do well is, even though it was low budget, the combination of horror to almost family-friendly Christmas film is really smooth and well done. And while also low budget, the practical effects are great.
No, I will give it credit for that. I mean, I think there's a lot that the movie has going for it. I guess I don't understand the mania. I think, in my mind, it's always sat in that cult following. Even though I know now that it had a much bigger following back in the day. I think by today's standards, especially being almost 30 years later.
Yeah.
Or 40 years later at this point.
Yeah.
It's fallen back into that cult status.
I agree to an extent. I do think that, like a handful of other 80s media, this movie managed to carve out an existence that does defy most cultural norms. It really did create a niche in the genre of, like, horror to Christmas films, and it also created itself as a cornerstone of the 80s genre. So even if this isn't your normal type of movie, you're probably going to watch it if you like 80s styling. Kind of the same way, like, even if you're not a fan of WWE, you do know who The Rock is and you have smelled what he's cooking. So, like, it is kind of in the same vein where, like, even if you're not a fan, even if you've never seen it, it has become so baked into culture that even if you're not a follower, even if you're not a collector, which a lot of people, that's what's really keeping this going, is the collectors who, they've got the market for this. There's a lot of stuff to collect for this. It doesn't even matter. It's, you know it. And that's what's keeping it alive. And honestly, that's kind of the smart way to do it. Because we have looked at other 80s films that are just kind of cult classics. And part of that's because there's no merchandise for people to collect.
Yeah, sure.
Or if there is, it's very limited. Yeah. Not this one. This one's everywhere.
And like you said, this is one where you could easily release it nowadays and it'd still have the same impact.
Yeah, and honestly, even if you were to, like, up the production value a little bit and make it again today, I think you'd end up with something kind of similar. Yeah, which works. That's the best part.
And honestly, it does make me want to go back go and watch Gremlins 2 because I haven't seen it yet. But
yes, okay.
I do know a lot of people like the second one more than they like the first one. And also, the director, I think if I remember right, he regrets the second one.
A little bit,
And
yeah.
that's why he wants to do the third one, because he doesn't like where it went. Because they did try making a bunch of sequels for a while.
Yes, they did.
And none of them stuck, and so the Columbus and Dante came back and created Gremlins 2, which I don't think either of them were happy with.
No, they weren't. A lot of people like Gremlins 2 because it had more money to go around. So there's a lot of mistakes that the first one had where, like, you can see the puppeteer sticks and strings blatantly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sloppy editing. There's a lot of places where we're working with very fresh actors, some of whom who had never done a full, like, big production before. They'd only starred in a couple of cheap horror films here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can tell. And honestly, now it adds to the charm, but as a director, and I can understand why that would be frustrating. And as a big fan, having something that you love at a higher level of money and production value, better acting, better props, I can see why it's appealing. I don't think it's as charming, but you'll have to watch the second one and let me know if you like it.
Yeah, at some point.
Yeah, not right now, because this one's the Christmas version, despite being not really.
Yeah. So, Chris, at the end of it all, on our good, bad, weird scale, how do you rate this movie?
This movie is a good bad, and I only put the bad in because while I love it, the dialogue is bad. The props are bad. The budget is bad. There's so many things bad about this movie that it is good.
Yeah.
And that's part of the charm. And I think a lot of that has to do with the amount of love and effort that went into it. It's something we see time and time again from the low budget horror people, and it's something I look forward to each time.
Yeah, and I sit exactly in the same good bad. I think it fits this because, one, it has a lot going for it, but I think it's bad partly because some of the decisions they made, specifically in having to bring it up to adult or to a more mature status, don't work that well. Same with the marketing. I think that all really adds to it, especially as having only seen it as an adult and not having grown up with it. I think that was a poor decision. Maybe it wasn't a poor decision. Maybe it was a good decision. But I also recognize like where it stands in history, and also like the focusing around should have been more of a teenager. It doesn't fully cross into the weird for me just yet.
No, it's. I agree. I don't think it's weird. I think it. Mostly all of my complaints are bad, but they are charming to me. Yeah.
So, would you recommend this movie, Chris?
Oh my gosh, yes. I very much recommend this movie. I do think it sits very nicely at the PG-13 mark if you have forgotten how gory it is. It is gory. It is not overly gory. You know, a 13-plus person could very easily watch this, especially if you've got a kid who's just getting into horror. This is a great one.
Yeah, I think that's a good introductory horror case. I mean, Jurassic Park is great too, but...
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that doesn't go for horror like this, but I am very hit and miss on who I would recommend this to. I know I brought it up and my mom was interested in watching it because she'd never seen it before.
This is one of the ones my mom actually does kind of like. She doesn't love the horror parts, but she does find the humor in some of the scenes, and I think the first half of the movie she loves, so...
Yeah, I think it's just hit and miss on who I would recommend it to.
I can totally understand that, and I think that's who it should have been originally for.
Yeah.
A little bit more of a... You pick. You have to know.
Yeah. So, now it is on to the 3 degrees of Takashi Miike. Well... Not new. We're almost at the end of season 5.
That's true.
But knowing that I've already won this, we're just doing this
for fun.
For funsies. Here are the rules. 3 degrees to get to Miike. Has to be a movie connection. Cannot use the same connection, i.e. movie actor, writer, or director twice. And I try to make the plot as thematic as possible. Next year, we are going to do a full month of Takashi Miike movies, so we got that.
Hooray.
This movie, I went with Zach Galligan, who played Billy, who was in Gremlins, with Mark Dodson, who was in Star Wars The Force Awakens with Yaya and Ruhian, who was in Yakuza Apocalypse, which was directed by Miike.
There it is.
A movie about creatures who are Yakuza, and when shit hits the fan, everything goes to hell.
Close enough.
Yes, I do recommend this movie. It's fun. I've sent you the clips.
Yes,
I showed you the clips of the frog costume.
Yes, you have. It's on my list.
It's fun. So, but anywho, this has been the Good, the Bad, and the Weird podcast.
Thanks for listening.
And happy 2023. We'll see you next year. Have a good holiday. Peace. Thank you for stopping by this here town of the good, the bad, and the weird. We appreciate your listenership, and if you want more of our takes in your life, feel free to check us out on social media at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, or TGTBTW for short. As well, if we missed a fact, your favorite part of a movie, or just have a suggestion and want to reach out and say howdy, feel free to email us at tgtbtwpodcast@gmail.com. And feel free to join our Discord at The Good, the Bad, and the Weird Podcast, where we talk about movies, just share random banter here and there. And always, check out our podcasters, streamers, or any other content creator we shout out in our episodes. We really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for listening. Peace!